So you've built your first robot. Looks cool, but sitting there doing nothing is boring. You need to make it look alive and or control it. There are a lot of different ways of controlling your bot. The one you choose will be based on how big your robot is, what you need your robot to do, and how you plan to interact with it. In this video, I will introduce you to the FlySky FS-i6S Remote Control System, the Arduino Nano, the DF Player MP3 Audio Player Module, the Adafruit PCA 9685 I2C 16-channel servo driver, and an RC digital servo. Let's get started. The FlySky remote control system comes packaged with a nice looking transmitter, a holder for your smartphone, and the 6-channel receiver. The kit starts around $75 Australian. The transmitter is a 10-channel 2.4 GHz unit using the AFHDS2A protocol. It has 2 joysticks, 2 channels each, 4 switches across the top front. The outer 2 are 2 position while the inner 2 are 3 position. On the back there are 2 momentary buttons and 2 self-centering knobs on the corners. These can be reconfigured to stay where you leave them. There's a nice LCD touchscreen on the front for configuration, and finally there are 2 buttons on the front to turn it on. To turn it on, you need to press both buttons at the same time. To turn it off, you also press both buttons at the same time. However, for safety reasons, the receiver must be turned off first, and the transmitter will not turn off while the receiver is powered on. The system uses telemetry, which allows it to report the battery voltage as the receiver sees it. There are some sensors you can plug onto the receiver as well. Note, if you are powering the receiver from 5 volt on the Arduino, the receiver will only report the 5.0 volt and not the battery status. You can bind up to 5 different receivers to the transmitter, but you can only use one at a time and cannot switch between them while they are powered up. Again, this is a safety feature. What this means is you can add a receiver to each of the robots you build to control them, and you can pick up extra receivers on eBay for around $24 Australian. There's also a 10-channel unit for around $36 Australian. The receiver that we'll be using is a 6-channel unit that runs on 4 to 8.4 volts. It has diversity antennas to help improve signal reception. Looking at the receiver from the right side are all the connections. Along the bottom there are 6 servo outputs as well as power and binding input. The process of binding the receiver to the transmitter is well explained in the manual, so I won't go into it here. Above the servo outputs there are 2 other connectors. These are labelled iBus Sense and iBus Servo. It's the iBus servo connection that I'm most interested in. The iBus servo plug contains the ground, positive VCC and signal output. The positive VCC and ground are both connected to the rest of the VCC and ground connections on the servo outputs and the battery connection. We can also power the receiver via this connection as well. I've used these units on 2 robots where this is the only plug I've used. The signal wire is a serial signal running at 115-200 bits per second. The good news, this signal contains all of the servo data. I find this a good portable way of getting a bit of human-machine interfacing, but more on this later. Now let's take a look at the Arduino Nano. You can pick these up on eBay for less than $5 Australian. They use the 18 Mega 328P chip, which is the same as that used on the later Arduino Uno boards. There are only a few differences between the Nano and the Uno. The Nano has a mini USB, while the Uno has a full-sized USB Type B. The Nano does not have a power connector, but the Uno does. The Nano form factor is much smaller than the Uno. The 18 Mega 328P chip has extra A6, A8 analog only inputs. These are made available on the Nano and not on the Uno. What they do have in common is they both run at 16 MHz and are both programmed via the Arduino IDE. Now let's move on to the audio player. This small audio player, the DF player, can be found on eBay for less than $3 Australian. The unit is based off the VX5200 2422 chip. It can read MP files from a micro SD card and play them via a small speaker. In the online instructions they do say to use a speaker less than 3 watts. If you need more volume than can be produced by the onboard amplifier, there is a high impedance output that can be fed into an amplifier for much greater volumes. The unit is reasonably versatile, working as a standalone player, with the additions of buttons connected to key input or via serial control. The module has provision for USB connections, however the online instructions has no information on using these pins. In our case we'll be using the serial connection. The Adafruit PCA 9685 I2C 16 channel servo driver. This servo driver is a 12-bit 16 channel free running pulse width modulated oscillator. You can pick these up for as low as $15 Australian on eBay. What this means is we can use the outputs to drive either standard analog or digital servos, or even use it to drive LEDs. In our case we'll be using it to drive all 6 of our servos. In the D-0 robot I'm using 3 types of servos. First up is the PDI 6221MG Metal Gear servo for the bar control. We'll need 2 of these. Mr. Baddeley suggests using the MG996R servo. However, I'm not a fan of these servos. I found them to be noisy and have a bad habit of jerking on power up. I've also had quite a number burn out. The next one we'll need is the Freetech FS-i6S continuous rotation servo for the main wheel drives. I can't show you one of these at the moment because I've already installed them in my last video and I don't have any spares. Finally we have the MG90 for the head. Once again you'll need 2 of these. I'd prefer to use a different servo like the PS1109MG for the head since it doesn't jerk on power up like the MG90 does. However, the output gear is a bit small and as a result doesn't fit. For all these servo types, the signal to control them are the same. In modern RC servos, the angle of the mechanical rotation is determined by the width of an electrical pulse that is applied to the control wire. This is a form of pulse width modulation. The typical RC servo expects to see a pulse every 20 milliseconds. However, this can vary within a wide range that differs from servo to servo. The width of the pulse will determine how far the motor turns. For example, in many RC servos, a 1.5 millisecond pulse will make the motor turn to the 90-degree position, also known as neutral position. The load time and the total period can vary over a wide range and vary from one pulse to the next without any effect on the position of the servo motor. Modern RC servo position is not defined by the PWM duty cycle, i.e. on versus off time, but only by the width of the pulse. This is different from the PWM used for example in some DC motor speed controls. Most RC servos move to the same position when they receive a 1.5 millisecond pulse every 6 milliseconds, a duty cycle of 25%, as when they receive a 1.5 millisecond pulse every 25 milliseconds, a duty cycle of 6%. In both cases they turn to the central, aka neutral position. For many RC servos, as long as the refresh rate, how many times per second the pulse is sent, aka pulse repetition rate, is in the range of 40 Hz to 200 Hz, the exact value of the refresh rate is irrelevant. This tidbit of information will become more important when we get to programming of the Arduino. So let's look at where we're going to connect all this together on the Arduino. There are 13 digital pins and 8 analog pins. Some of these pins have other functions. A4 and A5 are also used for the I2C bus. In our case, we will be using the I2C bus to control the PCA 9685 servo driver. There is an enable input on the PCA 9658 board, so I'll connect that to D2. D-0 and D1 are connected to the hardware UART and also to the USB port. We will use these for programming and debugging on the Arduino program. There is an onboard LED connected to D13. I've no plans for this at this time. There are links in the description for all the libraries I'm using in this project. The library used for the MP3 player uses a software serial port, so we can use most of the digital pins for that. In this case, we will use D8 and D9. There are two libraries I've found for the FlySky receiver. The more well known of these two uses the hardware serial port, while the other uses software serial. If we were building this in Arduino Mega 2560 with its 4 hardware serials, I would use the library that uses the hardware serial. However, since the Arduino Nano only has one hardware serial and that's connected to the USB, we will use the software serial version and connect it to D10. I built all this on a bit of experimental board with 5 volt and ground connected to 2 strips that run on the underside, down the centre. I also added sockets for the Arduino Nano to plug into. This makes it easy to replace the Arduino if you do something silly and blow it up. Accidents can happen. The experimenter's board was a bit longer than I needed, so I cut it down and used the leftover bit for the DF player. I also again soldered in headers so I could plug in the module. I then ran hookup wires between the two boards and made up 2 ribbon cables. One has 3 wires on it and the other one has 6. And a length of female header on each so as to plug it into the FlySky receiver unit and the PCA 9658 servo driver. The DF player needs positive 5 volt and ground, as well as the 2 serial wires connected to D8 and D9. I then connected a length of 2 core wire to the DF player board at one end and the speaker at the other. Something that should be noted is the 2 serial wires from the Arduino are connected to the DF player via 2 resistors. I believe these are used to drop the voltage on the DF player to 3.3 volts, which is the internal operating voltage. In the last video I showed how the batteries were connected to a power supply and then to the PCA 9658 module. Now with the header from the Arduino board connected, the Arduino Nano can now be powered up. we connect our power supply in from the power supply into these two terminals. That supplies power to this board. The Arduino Nano plugs onto this one, and the DF player plugs onto this one. Don't forget to program and put your music onto a micro SD card for the sounds, and plug it in as well. This plug connects to the servo port on the receiver. Power from here feeds the Arduino Nano at whatever battery voltage we're running, in this case 7.4 volts. On the Arduino Nanos, they have a voltage regulator which drops the voltage back to 5 volts, and we use that powers the Arduino Nano. We use it to power the DF player, and we also use it to power the receiver. The next video on D-0 build will be about programming. I'll see you in that video.